So let's just cut to the chase. Yuji shows up in this chapter. No, it's not like a flashback. He is actually showing up in real time in the story. He is in Tokyo and he's interacting with like characters from the actual cast. This is like peak Gege hype moments in Aura, and everyone is going to love this chapter for sure. But before we get into the Yuji stuff, we first have to talk about Dborah taking on Maharaga, because that is continuing in this chapter. The Yuji stuff happens at the end. So as we saw in the previous chapter, Maharaga had like completely adapted to Dborah's light beam things, and because of that, Dborah started getting destroyed. And then he figured, hey, I'm going to try to defeat Maharaga by moving at sublight speed. That's exactly what we see in the beginning of this chapter, going at Maharaga at sublight speed. And he has some success in the beginning until he like goes even faster. He's like telling himself, or keep pushing, you know, you gotta reach light speed itself. The depiction of this is pretty cool. Like the city is getting ripped up by him just going in a straight line, and he just winds up throwing this kick at him, which is like near light speed. And the narration says something along the lines of like, when approaching light speed, air behaves less like fluid and it becomes more like solid. But as he lands this like near light speed kick, or just straight up light speed, it really remains to be seen, but he's moving extremely fast. This portion of the city where Maharaga and himself are just explodes like a freaking nuke went off. And Maharaga is almost vaporized by this, but there's only like a little gristle of him left, and it's just his wheel above him, and it adapts to getting hit at near light speed, which is hilarious. Even Dborah's like, it likely adapts faster to just like brute force than to Plex abilities. And yeah, this was always a thing. It was just never really shown before, I guess. Maharaga can adapt to anything. I mean, that's literally what we were told about his ability. He adapts to any and all phenomenon. Even just getting hit really hard and fast is one of those things that he can just adapt to. Which goes into more questions about Maharaga and how incredibly broken he is, and like how he even came to be, and what the 10 Shadows truly is, which we're never going to get answers to. But man, I have a lot of questions about it. And while this is like annoying Dborah and he's getting slightly worried, I guess, it's also exciting him because he's starting to like the challenge that he's representing here, rather than being worried about it as he was in the previous chapter. And he wants to keep fighting him and keep growing. And he like sees this through a depiction of him and like Maharaga literally like dancing. This is like classic Gege Lobotomy Kaisen stuff, which we haven't seen in this series yet. But after throwing that near light speed kick, Dborah's leg is like completely done. It's like been burnt to a cinder. And he's gonna just cut it off at first, but then he starts to think like, wait, before I do that, don't the Earthlings have a way of healing? Because he remembered Isamu saying that they could try to heal Cross with some kind of special treatment. And he's like, well, how do you heal using a negative force like cursed energy? And then he's like, oh wait, in the previous chapter, when I broke through that sword that Maharaga had, the sword of extermination, it had something different than regular cursed energy, because as we talked about in the previous review, it's enveloped in positive cursed energy, which is like a deterrent for cursed spirits. He's like, well, what if I try to convert my cursed energy into that stuff that was on Maharaga's blade, you know, converting the negative into a positive state? And then he just instantly does it, and then uses reverse curse technique to heal his leg. Pretty wild. Dborah figures out reverse curse technique, or just converting negative, which is the normal cursed energy, into positive cursed energy in 1.5 pages. And to be honest, I like this. I mean, this is kind of a butt pull, but in a way it's not, because he always had the inherent capabilities of doing this. He was just never pushed to this point. So while Maharaga is like the only chance that they have of taking him down, at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. Because while Maharaga can survive and adapt to Dborah and in theory defeat him, at the same time, if he doesn't defeat Dborah the way that Maharaga needs to be defeated, then Dborah will just keep evolving as well. It's like there's this little experiment going on. But we cut away from that and we come to Jujutsu headquarters, and they're just trying to figure out a plan to mitigate the amount of cursed spirits that are going to be coming out of Tokyo as a result of the fight between Dborah and Maharaga. And we'll get into this more on Sunday because it's not really important right now. But because of this plan that they're formulating, they sent some sorcerers out in Tokyo to try to, you know, stop the cursed spirits from spreading out. And as they're doing that, they're also running into some of the Rumelians who are there as well, because they think that the human sorcerers are going to try to do something dirty and not respect the Discunte duel rules. So both groups wind up encountering each other, and you're thinking like, oh man, they're going to probably kill each other, because that's what the Rumelians were like saying. They were like, hey, if we run into any human sorcerers, just kill them. But before they could do anything, suddenly Yuji is outside of this building where they're meeting, and he's like, I knew this would happen. Not that I said anything. And it's like, wait, what? How did you know that aliens were gonna come? I don't think that's necessarily what he means, but you know, who knows if he's even going to elaborate on this statement. Nino, who is out in Tokyo at this point, I guess, you know, scouting along with this group, he sees Yuji outside, and he's like, whoa, are you? And, you know, before he can say Yuji puts up his hands, and he's like, piercing blood, and he shoots all of these piercing bloods into the building. But they're not just going in a straight line, you know, like a pressure shot like they normally do. It's like they're being manipulated kind of like tentacles, and they're going throughout the building, and they're like grabbing on to both the Rumelians and the human sorcerers, and it looks like it's like piercing them and killing them, but it's definitely not. Or I mean, it's not shown that it is, but I mean, we can just assume that he's not killing them. He's more so just, I guess, either grabbing them or pushing them. And then we see like every window in the building being broken with like blood shooting out of it, and he's like, oh, was that too much? So wow, yeah, Yuji finally back. I don't know why he's back. They were looking for him, they couldn't find him. Something happened. He has like this like communicator thing, which I guess I'll talk more about on Sunday. It looks kind of like that Mechamaru thing that he used to have. But yeah, Yuji is as powerful as we expected him to be. Manipulating cursed blood on this level, which we've never seen before. This is like the apex of its mastery, I guess. And just stopping the Rumelian and human sorcerer conflict instantly. So I mean, maybe he got caught up to speed or something as to what's going on, but I wonder what's going to happen here, because he's very close to where Dborah is taking on Maharaga, I guess. So he eventually has to show up to that fight. And if he just stops it, it makes you wonder, like, yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that, but at the same time, it's like going against like the paint by number cookie cutter rules of like storytelling, especially in these shonen battle manga series, where like the MCs have to like win. And Yuji was the MC, but he's not the MC of Modulo. So if he just shows up Deus Ex style and just ends the conflict, I think Shueisha would kind of be angry at that. So I think he'll only do so much. Maybe he'll stop Maharaga or something, but I don't think he's going to stop Dborah, because, you know, Yuka has to defeat Dborah or something, right? Even though technically she can't. I mean, I guess she could just get some random end of series MC power up like, you know, all the other characters in these series do. I mean, even Yuji did. But that would just be even way too much for her at this point. So if Yuji just ultimately ends this conflict, it would be great, and I'd be fine with it, but it's not going to be that easy. And we are definitely coming towards the end of the series here, especially now that Yuji has shown up. But let me know what you guys thought about this in the comments. Again, we'll go over this way more on Sunday. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.